All right, we're having a little bit of trouble with the network broadcasting the news and the videos like it was in the past. I'm not sure what the issue is. First, Facebook stopped the network from posting to Facebook. Then I got unbanned, and now the network just quit posting. You can see this one says 10 hours ago. This thing was posting every couple minutes. This one I just posted manually an hour ago, so you really can't even count that. Nothing's been posted in 10 hours. Maybe people just aren't uploading things. I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and see what's been going on here lately. Well, I guess the first thing I'm going to talk about is this Stop Illegal Checkpoints new group to target the police.
Well, as folks prepare to ring out the old and ring in the new tomorrow night, police in some cities and counties nationwide stepping up their crackdown on drunk drivers in a big way. They are planning to set up so-called no refusal DUI checkpoints for the holiday weekend. Several states already have them. Here's how they work. If you refuse a breathalyzer test during a traffic stop, a judge who's on site issues a warrant so cops can perform a blood test. Some defense attorneys and civil liberty advocates say that government forcing a needle into your arm violates constitutional rights.
Yeah, now to be clear here, and we've seen them do this before, we've seen the pictures, and it's unbelievable that it's happening. They're literally strapping people down and stealing their lifeblood out of their bodies against their will. In a way, you have to wonder, I mean, in my mind, this is in the category of rape. You're being violated. You're being violated physically. Except it's being done by the state under the guise of keeping people safe. Now, remember what I've taught. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or MAD, which was the excuse for any of these checkpoints to begin with from day one, and this has started in the 80s, I think, was always social engineering to justify and to normalize police checkpoints in this allegedly free country.
Reporters say the checkpoints are heavily advertised and only aim to save lives. Let's debate it with our panel, former prosecutor Fred Tisi and criminal defense attorney Nicole DeBoard. I mean, Fred, I hate to use the word draconian here, but when the government comes out and forces you to give blood, that's what some are calling it.
Yeah, well, you know what, I almost didn't get married because I had to give a blood test, so, you know, from that perspective, it does bother me. But
they didn't hold you down, though, when you got married, Fred, to get the blood out of your arm.
No, but there wasn't a judge there who issued a warrant either, and that's the crux to this thing. When I first heard the story, Trace, it bothered me a little bit because I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, if I'm totally sober and I decide I don't want to take a blood test, I don't want to take a breathalyzer test, they're going to go get some judge to give a warrant? Well, a judge can't issue a warrant until he's made a determination that there's probable cause to believe that you've been drinking. And so the judge is supposed to be neutral and detached. As long as he's neutral and detached and makes an objective determination on a case-by-case basis, given these things are highly advertised, given that, you know, the government's got a compelling reason to stop the fact that 50% of the fatalities in this country involve alcohol, as long as that judge is there. If it was just the police, I'd have a real problem with it.
I'll tell you, Nicole, the DUI attorneys are screaming and yelling over this one because, you know, they're the first ones to say, do not take the breathalyzer test, because they are often unreliable and they fight these things and they win in court all the time. So this seems to be something to kind of counter that, Nicole.
Well, I suppose it is from a technical standpoint, but you have to keep in mind that if the blood test isn't administered correctly or tested correctly, it too is full of the possibilities that there could be errors in the results that come out for the prosecution.
Now remember, we're not talking about this because we're all trying to get drunk and go driving around. That's not the issue here. The issue is freedom. The issue is tyranny. And just like Mothers Against Drunk Driving was set up to normalize checkpoints, these checkpoints where they're strapping you down and taking your blood are only a step to something even worse. You understand? Society is being dragged towards a darker, darker, darker place. And this just happens to be the next step. That's already happened. And it's going to happen again, 4th of July weekend. At least in Oregon. It's called a no refusal checkpoint. And I suspect it's going to happen other places, and they're just not telling people.
The reality is that as long as in these instances the judges actually have probable cause, they can sign a warrant. What concerns me greatly about this is the use of the word checkpoint. What is not legal and is not constitutional in this country is to just block off a road and stop every single citizen that drives down that road in order to try to find out whether or not there's some sort of a crime afoot. That's not allowed. But if by checkpoint what they mean is they've already pulled someone over, they already think that this person they've pulled over on a normal traffic stop is intoxicated. If they have probable cause, they legally can get a warrant.
I think by checkpoint they mean, Fred, those are the stops. They're going to stop you, these barricades, and they're going to check each driver. Now, they've kind of villainizing those who have had a glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine throughout the evening.
Well, let's not villainize those. Those people whose blood alcohol level would be below 0.08.
Right.
But it's the people who are completely inebriated, and particularly in this time of year when, quite frankly, a lot of the amateurs are out drinking and pros go underground. But the checkpoints, I think, are constitutional. This is in connection with a checkpoint, and I'm with Nicole. I mean, granted, there are problems with the blood test, but again, the point, not to sound like a broken record, as long as there is a judge there, a neutral and detached magistrate who issues a warrant because there's probable cause. I mean, that's no different than holding someone.
But you keep saying
while
probable
you go to
cause, Fred, and there's a very big definition of probable cause, Nicole. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but if a police officer smells alcohol in somebody's breath, whether they're 0.8 or above, they could still say, that's cause, I want blood from that person, right?
Well, there really should be a little bit more information than that. There have to be articulable facts that the officer can actually say to a judge, I saw X, Y, and Z, you know, these signs that the person might be impaired before the judge can actually sign a warrant. Again, a big problem here is if they're stopping every single person. That's what a checkpoint is. A checkpoint is not a normal traffic stop. Checkpoints are not legal. What is legal is to make a normal traffic stop.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you shouldn't drink and drive. Fred Tisi, Nicole DeBoer.
No, it's not interesting. It's tyrannical. Now, as we come up on 4th of July weekend, and for some of you, maybe it's over. You may be watching this newscast into the future. It is absolutely crucial that we start challenging these checkpoints. And that being the case, hot off the presses, I have just created a new group on Facebook. And I know that seems... And you can see it's only been shared 7 times. It seems kind of cheesy. I am not big on Facebook groups. But I thought about how do we get activists organized to start confronting police, recording, filming, challenging in just a few days. And the only way to really mobilize people is a Facebook group, hashtag activism, and so on. Thusly, I have created a Facebook group called Stop Illegal Checkpoints, and the links are on this page. So if you look on Truth Broadcast Network, well, how would you find this? You can just put illegal checkpoints in the search box. Honestly, it should be easier to find. I'll create a new category for activism or something and put this in there. But we have the Facebook group now, and this is the banner that I've stayed up all night working on, because they are stealing DNA. They're taking your DNA. That's what this is really about. And, you know, I said this is a step towards something else. They say, you know, take the breathalyzer. Somebody says no, then they hold them down and strap them down. But the agenda is to take everyone's DNA in the future. And so it's not about alcohol. It's not about refusing the breathalyzer. It's about taking your blood. And I'm not going to go into why they want your DNA right now on the news. But find this Facebook group. In fact, that's a link to it right there. So that'll open it up. And here we are. It's called Stop Illegal Checkpoints. I can't think of anyone in the truth movement who would not want to be a part of stopping these illegal checkpoints. Remember Pastor Steven Anderson here got beat down at an alleged border control checkpoint that was over 100 miles inside the country? So it's a brand new group. Stop illegal checkpoints. Please join the group. Add other people to the group. Find the checkpoints that are in your area and go to the group and post and say, hey, there's a checkpoint at such and such location on such and such date. And meet up with people. Hook up with people and start going there and filming them and challenging them. And not only that, not only where they are at the checkpoint, but also where they're drawing blood. And they may do that somewhere else. I don't know if it's a police station or the hospital or what, but try and get the names of the people who are being taken captive and having their blood stolen. And get them the footage and tell them to file lawsuits. That's what it's going to take to stop this. It's going to take activists talking to the victims, handing over footage, and encouraging them to sue. Because what they're doing is illegal, it's unconstitutional, and it's a violation of human rights. It cannot be allowed to go on. Now, we're done with that. What else is going on? And I'm going to refresh this real quick. I don't think anything new is going to come up because the network's not posting like it should be. I worked on that tonight, and I'll work on it some more in the near future. Let's try hitting the news tab. Might be more coming up under that. I think, it locked up. I fixed it, but I fixed it at 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, and just nobody's got anything new going on there. So let's check out. And if you're watching this stuff, click on that. You go to full video. You can play full videos.
An annual family festival in Britain this week turned into an all-out melee after a gang of neo-Nazis attacked partygoers, stabbing one man. Now, what's odd, though, is that the mob wasn't even made up of Britons, but rather it was Polish immigrants. Witnesses say the silencers shouted profanities and fought and threw bottles at the crowds before police arrived. Since then, there have been nearly daily protests against neo-Nazi activities. RT's Sarah Firth was at today's march.
Well, we're here just walking out of Marksfield Park at the moment in North London. That was where an anti-fascist demonstration had taken place. And now you've got some of the demonstrators have left the park and they're marching out onto the streets of London. Peaceful demonstration today?
Depends. If the Nazis come, there will be no peace.
Is that the best way to fight neo-Nazism? Violence with violence?
They're so stupid that you cannot...
What's that?
The only way to fight Nazis is to fight them, not to stand there and say, we don't like you. We know we don't like you. They know we don't like them.
Do you not think there's a danger of provoking more violence?
Provoking more violence? Don't you think they've been violent enough? It's about time they get squashed.
An action. We're just a reaction to an action.
When Cricklewood had to face Nazis last month, we were there. Yeah, whether the British Nazis, Polish Nazis, Azerbaijani Nazis, we don't give a If you're nationalist and you're racist and you're fascist, then we have to squash you. Because look what happens when it gets out of control.
The shaky truce in East Ukraine has been extended, with both the army and anti-government fighters promising to recognize it. The ceasefire, which has been in place for a week, is part of attempts to bring peace to the region. People there say they're exhausted by constant fighting and have fled in their tens of thousands.
Как же можно жить по подвалам ходить? И денег не дают. И пенсию не дают.
Магазини пусті, стріляють безбожно, людей не щадять. Ну що це таке за наше правительство таке?
Да, на время, конечно. Мы сюда вернуться собираемся. Я думаю, здравый смысл у правительства восторжествует все-таки, хоть немножко будет головой своей думать. И, конечно, люди многие вернутся сюда, и все, кто тут, а все хотят вернуться.
The night after the truce was extended appeared mostly calm. However, there were reports of sporadic fire in the region, with Russia's border control service stating one of its checkpoints had been hit.
Shells continue to fall on Russian territory. One hit a checkpoint building.
All right, we now move to Jeremy Meeks, the man deemed to be the hot convict ever since his beautiful mugshot was released on Facebook. The picture quickly went viral. Here to explain the greater implications of this insanity is senior criminal justice expert John F. O'Donnell. How you doing, John? Good.
But I don't know, man. My entire world has been thrown upside down by this situation.
I don't know why your entire world's upside down. It is upsetting, you know, that this is all people care about.
No! What's upsetting is we're putting an official member of the Super Sexy Club, of which I'm a lifetime member, in prison. It's ridiculous. It's disgraceful. Jeremy Meeks' chiseled cheekbones alone should be justification for a full pardon.
Our criminal justice system cannot change its decisions based on attractiveness.
Lee, you're lying to yourself again. And I can tell you secretly agree with me.
I can tell you I do not agree with you.
Bring up the graphic. Which one of these two deserves justice more?
Scarlett Johansson, I guess.
Yep. And what about between these two?
That's not a fair... I don't...
Answer the question.
Ryan Gosling, I guess.
See? Even you think attractive people deserve justice more.
Then raccoons!
Studies have shown an attractive person makes $230,000 more than an ugly person in their lifetime for doing the same job.
But that doesn't make it right.
Lee, stop it. I'm not here to coddle you because of your steady stream of rejection letters from the Super Sexy Club. Accept it. You're not getting in. I'm here today to talk about one of the greatest injustices of our time, the prison industrial complex.
All right, good. This is something we can agree on, right? America has 2.4 million people behind bars. We have 5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's prisoners. It's terrible.
I know. The statistics are horrifying.
Yeah.
1 out of every 100 adults is behind bars. And 1 out of every 100 of those is too damn sexy to be there.
Seriously?
Yes. The Super Sexy Club recently released the Super Sexy Census, which conclusively revealed how many hotties America has.
I can't believe I'm actually doing this, but how many hotties does America have?
Well, the results show that 1 out of every 100,000 Americans is a hottie. And you're not on the list.
All right. That sounds like not many beautiful people.
You're telling me. I've been lonely as hell out here. I'm surrounded by normals every place. It's disgusting. Plus, my super sexy girlfriend is in prison for 30 years. She's so hot. I think we have a photo.
She's lovely, John.
Anders Fogh Rasmussen's term as NATO chief may be almost up, but now questions are being asked about he got the job in the first place. Freshly in the spotlight, WikiLeaks documents suggest Rasmussen abused his powers as Prime Minister to guarantee himself his future job. Specifically, Denmark reportedly agreed to start legal action against a Kurdish separatist channel that was broadcasting from Copenhagen in 2009. In return, Turkey said it would back Rasmussen as the future NATO chief.
Pew Research Center, income inequality is at its highest since 1928. Think tanks, news outlets, trusted institutions, they all might parse the numbers differently or have varied solutions, but pretty much everyone agrees. A small number of rich people are getting richer, while the vast majority of Americans are struggling harder than ever. And that's presenting a shift in the way our politicians are talking to us. They've always put on this act where they pretend to be just like their constituents. They hold babies and don hard hats and take photos of themselves pretending to be regular folk. That's been going on forever. But now that the regular folk are all poor, our politicians are now working very hard to convince us they know what it's like to financially struggle themselves. The Obamas recently did an interview with Parade magazine in which they both related stories about how they both worked minimum wage jobs. They talk about scooping ice cream and working in a bindery. And they also said that they want their daughters to work minimum wage jobs because that builds character. The president says he wants his daughters to learn that working for a paycheck is not always fun, stimulating, or fair. The First Lady says she thinks every kid needs to get a taste of what it's like to do hard work. Now, I agree that all kids need to learn how to work hard and do stuff they don't like. But coming from the man at the head of a government that is working hard to screw the hard working on a daily basis, this is just nothing but insulting, especially when Malia was just spotted working as a PA on a TV set while Sasha hung out on the set of the TV show Pretty Little Liars. These girls will probably never understand the real struggle of millions of Americans. And right now we've also got Hillary Clinton going around trying to tell everyone that she's not well off. This is a politician who charges about $200,000 as a speaking fee and owns a $5 million mansion in Washington. She's trying to make it seem like she can relate to the financial struggle of most Americans right now, too. And that is a scam. Not only are our politicians continuously enacting legislation that helps the rich get richer and screws the working class, but now they're all going to pretend to relate to being poor so we'll continue to vote for them? Forget about talking about the minimum wage. We should all be talking about the maximum rage we feel toward our fake poor politicians. Tonight, let's talk about that by following me on Twitter at The Resident.
Now, in a bid to ease the bureaucratic burden and save money, the French government is redrawing its inner borders to reduce the number of regions. Well, the plans have been met with anger, with richer regions unwilling to pay for their poorer neighbours. But as RT's Marina Kostareva reports, the EU might have its own vested interests too.
This is what it could look like. 22 become 14, eliminating bureaucracy and supposedly saving France 15 billion euros. This is François Hollande's regional shake-up plan for 2015, or a copy of the decentralized regional model of Germany, according to Marine Le Pen. If this reform gets the green light, then the region of Alsace will be...
All right, screw all this international news. We've got, and I'm going to go off the network for this, because there's not much information coming across on it. Well, let's check the network real quick, because we do have the search function. Try to take advantage of it. And let's just put in border and see if anything recent has been posted on it. And yes, 14 hours ago. I'm hearing that the United Nations is coming in to deal with the border situation in Texas, and we don't want to hear that shit. So let's see what's really going on here. If it won't play, will it? Okay. Let's try open it in a separate window.
Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green and you're tuning into AMTV Alternative Media Television. So I wanted to weigh in on this crisis that is currently taking place at our borders in Texas and Arizona, this immigration crisis where 3/4 of the immigrants, a lot of them children from places like Central America, contiguous states like Honduras. I mean, even the vice president's wife of Honduras is going to Texas along with terrorist Nancy Pelosi to check out the humanitarian crisis that makes up this influx of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants on our borders, flowing into the United States, diseased with scabies, being held like animals in cages at our borders. I mean, this is an absolute crisis. This is as bad as it gets. And you know what? It was all planned. It was all intentional. Notice how, and very few people ask these questions, notice how the president was emblazoned in all these scandals, whether or not it was the loss of learners' emails and the fake computer crash, even though we know that images of our emails are mirrored and then stored at the NSA, along with the other intelligence agencies illegally and anti-constitutionally. But notice, all that was going on. Bo Bergdahl, the illegal exchange of him, a known deserter for 5 Durka, Taliban, terrorists, and then boom, all of a sudden it's all about immigration. And again, it's all planned. This is a planned destabilization effort of the Obama regime. This has been in the works for years now, and it has unintended consequences. You know, personally, I never really even understood immigration debate. I never really even understood the thought of immigration reform. It seems ridiculous. It is illegal for someone to come and cross our borders and then just declare themselves a citizen. And then for the American people to pay taxes for those people illegally crossing. It threatens our society, it threatens America, and it's why we're having all the problems we are having today. It's why we're in debt. It's why we're saddled with all this controversy. But again, at the upper echelon of the White House, this political sphere, and also big technology companies like Mark Zuckerberg, of Facebook, that are also big government, are all pro this. He's established websites like forward.us. It says, hey, let's just make illegals legal. Now, if Mark Zuckerberg, you, or I tried to cross the border of Russia or Uruguay, we would be shot at with guns. But not here in America. We open up our borders. Come on in, everybody. Come on to the United States and spread your disease. Now, again, I'm not saying this isn't tragic. I'm not saying that this isn't a humanitarian crisis. My heart goes out to all these people, these children that are covered up to their knees. Some of the girls reported from mud and dirt from crossing the Rio Grande. I think that this is absolutely a tragedy, but we can't keep them here. We can't just continue to open up our borders. Again, this is a planned destabilization effort by the Obama regime. It's a smoke and mirrors campaign. While the right hand is doing one thing, make sure you're paying attention to what is happening on the left. And again, this is all about creating political instability. You know what this really is, in theory, and this has been documented well in history, historically, this is a re-education of America. This is opening up our borders to bring up a lower rung of our society, to create the socialist state that is America today. Again, if you look up the DREAM Act for yourself, if you are to actually serve in the military or get a college degree, be re-educated, what the U.S. government likes to call higher learning, re-education, then all of a sudden you can become a citizen now. They want to create a society, a lower class rung. They want to get rid of the middle class completely, which is what they've been working on over the past couple of years, and re-educate the American society into complacency so that these people become dreamers and they become citizens, and then all of a sudden they're voting again and again for people like President Barack Obama, a known fascist, what some people would say socialist, but I would say fascist, in the White House today. Who knows? Maybe he'll run for a third term. Again, all of this a part of the planned destabilization effort here in America. And again, there are unintended consequences with this, folks. Let me give you a perfect example. Somebody that I'm not going to mention, but a member of my extended family was almost killed by an illegal alien just a couple of weeks ago. He got into a car accident in Huntington Beach. He almost died. This person wasn't illegal. Now, I'm not saying the person did it on purpose, but this member of my extended family almost died. And of course, the illegal alien didn't have insurance. He couldn't pay for anything. But the member of my family had to pay for all of his health care, almost died, had to pay for his car, his automobile, etc. Again, just one example of the unintended consequences of these illegal people here crossing our borders, threatening us in ways that maybe some of you want to think. Again, a member of my extended family almost dying because of this. You know, it's a tragic situation that we would open up our borders. It is tragic to think that our leadership is re-educating our society intentionally. And it's exactly what's happening. Again, this is all in the history books, folks. Whether or not it was the Northern Vietnam after we left, re-educating Southern Vietnamese military personnel and members of society, or whether or not this was the Maoist doctrine of re-educating his underclass of people, his underlings. Again, a dictator, you know, Mao killed lots and lots of people. The same thing is happening in the United States of America today. Again, folks, this is a planned invasion. This is a re-education system. These are the re-education camps, and it's all part of the gross destabilization effort that makes up the illegal presidency of Barack Hussein Obama, a person who's been committing executive action and executive order after another against our constitutional principles, failing to notify Congress, and now he's opening up our borders to destabilize the larger America and to create...
Okay, that's the first video I've ever seen from him where he just flat got cut off. Who knows why that happened? It's only 5 minutes long, but you know, obviously Christopher Green, and that is who that was, Christopher Green, has some definite points there. And it's a tough situation because it seems rather heartless when we go on about these issues, but I just shut down the website. As I've said, if you live in Dominica, you're on an island, and half of that island is Dominica, and the other half of that island is Dominica, and the other half of that island is Dominica. Sorry. The other half is Haiti. half of the island is Dominica, and half of the island is Haiti. And, you know, I asked my friend's girl one time, because she was from Dominica, how do you keep the Haitians on their own side of the island? And she said, we shoot them. I'm not saying that we should go down there and start shooting Mexicans, because I don't want to shoot anybody. You know, when I took my CCW class, I told the cop I don't want to kill somebody just because they come in my house. I shoot them in the leg. He said, no, you shoot them in the heart. I'm like, I don't want to kill him. What if it's my sister? And, you know, I thought it was a burglar. But, I mean, if you're talking about the border, how are you going to stop them if there's not a price to pay for trying to cross the border? There really is no way to stop them. All right, so I remember now. We searched for border because we have the United Nations, from what I'm hearing, heading over here to start snooping around our border. Now, the UN has come over here under the pretense of monitoring elections in the United States, because we are, after all, a banana republic now. We are a banana republic. And now we've got the United Nations coming over here to, I don't know if they're going to monitor the border situation or what, but we're going to find out why is the United Nations coming here in relation to the border. And again, it doesn't want to play right here. It was working earlier, so we'll open it in a new tab here. Actually, I think it might just be a long delay.
Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning in to AMTV Alternative Media Television. It is, of course, Friday, June 27th, 2014. And I want to weigh into this wider immigration scandal that has really blown up in the faces of Americans and has been really taken advantage of by the mainstream and alternative press here in recent days and over the past week or two. Now a new escalation with a Mexican military chopper crossing into the United States and firing 2 shots at border agents, immigration activists, to storm Congress. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. But again, this is raising tensions to an unfolding and really a continuous crisis that has been occurring in the United States for some time. And part of me, quite frankly, doesn't even understand the debate of immigration. I mean, I hear people debate things like the DREAM Act and that these people should be allowed to stay in our country, and I don't even personally understand the argument. It's illegal to cross the United States and just claim residency. It's illegal. For example, if you or I tried to step into Russia or walk across their border, they would shoot at us. They would point their guns at us and start unloading at you. Yet here in the United States, we just allow hundreds of thousands of people to cross our borders. And then our president goes as far as to want to keep them here. You know, if these people are so pro-immigration, I think that they should open up their homes in the United States of America and have all of these diseased individuals that are being held in cages like animals right now with infestations of scabies at their house, at the White House, at Mark Zuckerberg's house, at their many houses that they have all across the United States of America. Here's the report. Mexican military chopper crosses into the United States, shoots at border agents. Again, all of this also a part of escalating the tensions. To create this rhetoric on Capitol Hill, to get the American people paying attention to this while Obama pushes scandal after scandal. You know, the trading of Bo Bergdahl and 5 Taliban terrorists without alerting Congress, which is an impeachable offense, whether or not it was Benghazi Gate, the IRS, or anything else. All of this being pushed by the mainstream media and the alternative press at the moment.
Okay, so we're going to look at the most recent news in relation to the border. And we have from Breitbart, tsunami of foreign minors to hit public schools. Texas officials silent. You've got to be kidding me. They're going to start letting these illegals straight into the schools? You've got to be kidding me. Dallas, Texas. Nerves are starting to fray. Texans, what answers about the tsunami of undocumented and unaccompanied minors that may well hit public school classrooms this fall. Breitbart, Texas reported that the Clear Lake Tea Party voiced strong concerns about how these minors will be absorbed into classrooms across the state. Locally, it stands to tax Texas in more ways than one, and how schools prepare comes with a surprising answer. Where's the freaking article? All right, let's try clicking here. There we go. So, Breitbart, Texas asked the Texas Educational Agency Director, Media Relations, Debbie Ratcliffe, who said, "We're monitoring the situation, but at this point, we have no districts report any issues to us." Ratcliffe said this may be in part because districts have been impacted during the summer break months. However, the actual impact may be very difficult to account for because the courts have told us that we can't ask what their citizen status is. All right, I'm going to stop the video, restart it, so I've got a video exclusively about the border situation. Won't be gone for more than a second.